Okay, with that motivation, I would like to turn this over to one of the most motivational people I've ever seen speak. Brandon Upson is the chairman of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. He's also the founder of a group called Amplify Action, a nonprofit organization focused on rebuilding power within marginalized communities through voter registration and civic mobilization of black men. In 2020, his organization, this incredible numbers, his organization registered 39,000 black men and motivated and mobilized almost 500,000 black voters to get out and vote. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a reason why we have a Biden administration in the White House and not a second Trump term. Brandon is an 8th generation South Carolina native. Reared in Aiken, South Carolina, he's a U.S. Army combat veteran and a notable political strategist. He's worked on nearly 36 political campaigns across the country, and he's been called the political magician because of his ability to help win long-shot races. He's married to Monica. Monica is here with us today at the table and is the proud father of 3 small children. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm hand to Brandon. He's going to talk to us about whatever's on his mind.
South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus represent the voices of 800,000
Black and African American Democrats over South Carolina.
We know that there's over 220,000 black people in South Carolina that either need to be registered to vote, have their voter registration updated, or to be motivated to vote.
That means it's time for us to rise and organize.
Black voters can turn South Carolina blue.
Black folks can turn South Carolina blue.
The black voters can turn South Carolina blue.
If we work together, we can empower
And motivate black voters.
So work with us. Join the Black Caucus today, and let's rise and organize.
All right, good morning, Greenwood.
Good morning.
How y'all doing?
Great.
All right, let's try this thing. I heard something started around these parts of our woods here in South Carolina. It kind of goes, fire it up. I want to remix it a little bit, if that's okay. When I say fire it up, you say ready to win. Fire it up. Ready to win. Fire it up. Ready to win. All right. First, I want to thank you, Bill and the Greenwood Democratic Party for extending the invitation to come speak this morning. Got to thank Bishop McCrae for opening up your doors. Thank you to the entire church and family of Morris Chapel Baptist Church. I have to thank my wife, Monica, for making all of this possible. Like Bill said, we were just on the West Coast yesterday. We flew in last night at about 11:30 into Charlotte, got a couple hours of sleep, and then drove here this morning to be with y'all. So I'm definitely excited to share some information with you. I just want to take 4 minutes of your time so we can think together, 10 minutes of your time so we can converse together, but hopefully at the end, we'll spend the next time that we have in this plane, this thing we call life, working to build something better for the generations behind us. I want to get started with a couple quotes. I'm a quote man. This guy named Descartes, he was a philosopher. He said, "I think, therefore I am." And I think that should be the slogan for the Democratic Party, because it seemed like we're the only one thinking in this point in time, right? So, I think, therefore I am. And that for me, when I heard that the first time in college, I think, therefore I am, that let me know that according to another book that I reference to, it's a good one, pretty often, it says that the power of your tongue, you can speak life in something. You can think and make something tangible come to be from just the notion and a gift. Another quote I want to share, it actually comes from that good book that I referenced, Matthew 7:7. It says, ask, and it shall be given. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be open unto you. Those three words, ask, seek, and knock, are not passive words. They are verbs. They are action words. It says if you act, no philosopher and scientist said, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you act, something will happen. Well, Democrats, I'm here this morning to tell you that it is time for us to act, because now is our time. Another brilliant person, Einstein, I'm going to mess up this quote just a little bit, but Einstein said, poisonous weeds and vital crops can live and thrive in the same soil as long as the conditions are right. Because the condition is more important than the soil. And I want to tell y'all this. Public policy, our children going to bed hungry, us using the words working and poor in the same context, in the same sentence, us having conversations about folks having a medical emergency and dying on the way to the hospital because their hospital has been closed down, as all the result of a choice. And we have the power to create the conditions to change this reality here in South Carolina, so that we are no longer at the top of the worst list, so that we are no longer the laughing stock of our country, so we are no longer the source of the worst public policy in America. We have the power to seek and find, to ask and be given, to knock and open that door of opportunity for the next generations to come. I did not fly 7 hours and drive 3 hours this morning to be with you because I didn't believe in you. I came here today because I know that everything we need to be successful is right here in this room. All we have to do is work together. Just imagine for 1 second what we could accomplish if we just worked together for a little bit of time. A group of people with the same heart and the same mind can do and accomplish so much more than one person on the island trying to work by themselves. So I'm here to say this morning, now is our time. It is time for us to rise and organize. And as the chairman of the Black Caucus, I invite you to join our caucus so we can do this work together. On this table over here, we got some sign-up sheets. You can sign up to receive our information. Get one of our wristbands. It says, now is our time, because that's exactly what it is. We have been prepared for such a time as this, and now it's time to get it together. Thank you. Yeah, I'll take any questions. I would love to talk about the numbers.
The caucus.
Right.
What's a caucus? What do they do?
So, the Black Caucus, they're in all caucuses, even the single parents caucus, and we have over a dozen. These caucuses are the arms and legs of our Democratic Party. They are the advocacy arms that represent the interests of the different segments that make up our entire party. I decided to run for chair of the Black Caucus because I saw it as an opportunity for us to usher in the next generation of Democrats and connect our party with the marginalized groups and disenfranchised groups of voters across this state. Like our video said, I truly believe that black folks can turn South Carolina blue. And it's because the math makes sense. In 2020, Jamie Harrison lost by 258,000 votes. Well, let's do some math. There's 138,000 unregistered black folks in South Carolina. There's another 50,000 that we know of who need to have their voter registration updated. That means if an election was today, they would not be able to vote where they live because they're registered someplace else. And then on top of that, that's another 50,000 inactive black voters in South Carolina. What does inactive mean? That means that they have not voted in at least 2 cycles, 2 elections. So if you add all that together, that's 238,000 voters who did not participate in last year's election. So if we just do the math, black folks can get us to the finish line. If we focus on changing our thinking just a little bit, we talk about mobilizing votes. Now we have to motivate votes. We have to give folks something to vote for. We have to come into their communities and speak to the issues that are important to them. And that's why these caucuses are so important, because it is our job as a caucus to figure out what those issues are, to go inside of those communities and work with our county parties to see it through. Cool. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I admit that I'm not as up to date on the South Carolina Democratic Black Caucus. Do you work in conjunction with the Senate or the South Carolina Black Caucus?
Yeah, the Legislative Black Caucus, yes. Yes, sir. So right now, Representative Patricia Hennigan is the chairwoman for the South Carolina Legislative Black Caucus. That caucus in the State House is nonpartisan, but we do work together on a lot of issues. So we work with them, even though we represent and we're part of the South Carolina Democratic Party.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Some personal words, just some personal observations about Mr. Upson here. I first came to know him when he was running for chair of the Black Caucus. It was a contested election. He hit it hard as if he was running for president of the United States. He campaigned, he reached out, he called me. You know, what am I being reached out to for the Black Caucus? And he says everybody's welcome to the Black Caucus. He was seeking everybody's votes, very inclusive. And when he won that election back in April of this year, he threw a party that was lit like he had just won the White House. And let me tell you, if this man decides to run for U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, or President of the United States, I want to be there for that party, because he knows how to throw one. Thank you very, very much, Brandon.